and then we'll start. I'll make these slides available, guys. So you'll see this is maybe for the first two sessions. It's more of a generalized what we will expect. So the slides is the initial set of slides that I've worked on, and they'll appear at some particular point. Right. So evening, everyone, and let's have a glance at what we're going to look at in this module. So there are a couple of outcomes. So you'll see in terms of the learning outcomes, I've focused on those specific ones. You'll see where it finishes. I don't think we'll get to that. There'll be a second set of slides as this kind of overview process. So when we think of research and why we do research, give me examples of research that you've been part of in the past. Research that you've been part of, where you were asked to contribute to research. Because all of you that did your degrees through Emirates would have done research in your third year. Go for it, Lebohang.
I think research happens every single day. So like, for example, the latest research I think I was part of was maybe with VC, the teaching methods, how did I feel about that, etc.
Oh, very cool. Okay. And did you take part as a student or as a lecturer?
As a student.
Oh, that's where you rate your lecturers. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. That's research. That's research. I mean, those things point to certain things. They consolidate that information and often will determine whether we get rehired or not, or whatever specific developmental things we have to be exposed to. Nice, Elisma. Nice, nice, nice. Okay. Other bits and pieces, guys, where you've been part of research. Who's had to buy an expensive item in recent times? And the selection of the item and where you should get it from and the price to be paid just wasn't apparent. Anyone have to do that? If you had to buy a car now, what are the kind of research steps you would take to go and purchase a vehicle? Go for it, Lebohang.
I'd research things like its safety rating, price, the pricing, is it fair enough? Is it overpriced? Is it underpriced? Those are the type of things I'd research if I had to go and buy something that I need now.
Very, very nice. Are you a mom, Lebohang?
Yes, I am.
Again, safety is important. Now I'm talking to the Indian boys here. What do you guys research? Oh, rubbish,
How fast
Mohammed.
the car is, the kilowatts.
Yeah, how fast it goes from 0 to 100.
Is it two-wheel drive? How much is it to modify it?
We're being stereotypical here. Thanks, Lebohang. Yeah, that's a big one, Elisma, because that idea of adding additional rooms, that is significant research. And again, there's a process involved. There's definitely a process involved. Mohammed, are those the real criteria? Petrol efficiency, fuel, yep, with what's happening everywhere in the world now. Mohammed, if you need to report me for stereotyping, just do so. Okay, boy. Okay, so any form of research that we do for an academic reason essentially follows similar kind of thought processes that you do when you purchase a house, when you purchase a house in a new area, where you purchase a vehicle or other bits and pieces that you want to find extra information about. It is always systematic. In terms of systematic, we have a series of steps that we go through. Now, those steps essentially starts off with the research area and the kind of selecting the kind of research that we need to do, and goes through our problem that we want to solve, the objectives we want to achieve, the process we'll follow in terms of moving ourselves from the problem to the objectives, and how we would analyze the information we get, etc. The second bit is that it's logical. I think we have a very clear staged approach. There are different stages, there are different phases. Now, all of these phases are interrelated and are linked, but also they are distinct in terms of the way we represent them. So there are a number of things that we will talk about, and one of the things is to create the flow between those different stages. And we'll talk about transition sentences and connecting sentences, because that's the kind of thing that makes good research great research. Guys, and then it is evidence-based. So we talk about empirical research. The empirical research is about getting evidence that we can scientifically test and verify. And then it's theory informed. We'll talk about setting up your theoretical framework, and in particular, the importance of the theoretical framework. All of these things, guys, I have processes for, sub processes for. And you'll hear that I'm incredibly procedurized in the way that I teach this stuff. No, there is, I will offhand, I'm not sure. I need to go check, Elisma. If there are, I've got ICE tasks for it, but offhand, I need to check. My apologies that I've not done that. Okay. So, in terms of theory informed, so we'll talk about your theoretical framework, the way we write a theoretical framework. And again, just to reiterate what I had said, I am very, very procedurized in the way I teach this. And sometimes you'll hear me say, step one, do this, step two, do this, step three, do this. And I think it just helps with some sort of consistency from a brand perspective. And then it is iterative. Now, anyone want to tell me what the term iterative suggests? No, they're not the ICE tasks. I have separate ICE tasks to those, okay? I have separate ICE tasks to those. Okay. So iterative suggests that it isn't a linear thing where one thing happens, then the next happens, and the next happens. You'll find yourself going forwards and backwards all the time in the research. It is a process of verifying, re-verifying, checking what you had done, going a step back, moving two steps forwards, going three steps back. And it just is about making sure that ultimately, and this is a term that you need to write down at this point in time, is that we maintain a golden thread. You will hear me say the term golden thread a bazillion times over the next couple of months. The idea of the golden thread, where everything links logically to everything else, where we can see that in your thinking you have some sort of coherent process of connecting everything back to your research problem, to your title, etc. The golden thread is that golden thing that links the different elements together logically. And you'll hear me talk about golden thread a bazillion times, and I'm warning you about that. And then, yeah, it moves from uncertainty, and the uncertainty is the problem and the issues associated with the problem, right through to creating some sort of set of recommendations, some sort of set of findings. Right. So if we carry on, so these are the phases. And again, remember what I said. This is an iterative process. So I've presented it in a particular way. There are different ways of doing it. It is an iterative process. For the sake of the introduction, generally it starts with the problem. You will remember that when we did the initial orientation and other people with ears were there, that I spoke about the importance of the research problem. The research problem is the deficiency, it is the gap, it is the thing that we are concerned about. It is the shortfall that has brought us to this point to suggest we need to actually research this. If you can think of any problems in your life today that you would want researched, what would that problem be? What would that deficiency be? And important in terms of your problem statement is that you have to write it as a problem. I find often people write a problem in a way that suggests they have the solutions. If you have the solutions, then you don't have a reason to do research. For me, this is the most significant part of your research. Where do I start? I have too many problems. Yeah, I must admit, I'm sitting. Yeah, let me not share my medical issues with you guys right now. I started the process by having myself injected today, but the problem is 60 odd years of eczema has basically brought me to tears and near suicide. No, not that I would commit suicide. So there are lots of those. Too many problems, Kyle. Yeah, it's a real issue. Who has a problem that they want researched? Okay, Elisma is a problem that there haven't been ISTARs listed, or whether there should be ISTARs listed, and I will try and repair that. Sorry, Elisma, I'm picking on you again. Anyone else want to suggest a problem they have? Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. Kyle, between you and I, we have all the problems on this class, in this class. So, bud, let's carry the burden together. The rest of this group can bugger off. They don't have problems. Elisma, I'm not sure when they're going to allocate the supervisors. I think I was given the titles that I will supervise, and you'll get a letter from admin. I'm not involved with that. In the past, I used to do that, and now I don't get involved in that. I'm just the lecturer. Okay. So I can't believe that it is too much. Nosipo also has too many problems. Yeah, Nosipo. Yeah, just don't burn out. This is a long, long journey. Yeah, that's also. You're doing grade four. No, well, this is a breeze compared to grade four. I saw a stat the other day that 15% of kids in grade four cannot read or write whatsoever. Now, there is a research problem. The fact that in our country, 15% of grade fours, I don't know if anyone saw the article, cannot read at all, cannot recognize words, letters, etc. Now, there is a problem. Wait till they get a little bit. Luckily, yours can read. We would hope so, Elizabeth, because you are so OCD that if your child wasn't reading, oh my gosh, I think you wouldn't have joined me on this course. Oh, sorry, it's Elizabeth's night tonight. Sorry, Elizabeth, I didn't suggest you were OCD. I actually said you were OCD. Okay, guys, and then we can also look at, I know, you and I have walked this journey before, remember? I trusted Elizma with some very important information when she was my student, and we were told that we can't give anyone slides. We weren't allowed to give students slides, and somehow they got slides. Imagine that. Um, so if we look at the research problem, I think for me the research problem is where everything starts and finishes. Then we'll do a literature review. Now, generally, the order that we do it is we do our theoretical framework first. But as I said, this is an iterative process and this is just background information. You'll do your theoretical framework. A theoretical framework is where you select a theory or two that essentially provides you with your blueprint. Your literature review, and those of you that haven't studied in a long time will find this particularly difficult because one of the things that we end up with when you conduct a literature review is a series of themes. And we'll spend a lot of time on where to read and where to find information. But also importantly, guys, is that you then consolidate that information into some sort of critical process where you review different elements, where you tie different texts and different content from different um, journal articles together and build a coherent argument. And the key thing that people struggle with is that they have to ultimately create a number of themes. Now, these themes would be a logical combination of all the content that you've drawn from the different bits of research that you've done and presented under that theme. Those of you that haven't studied in a long time, I know will struggle with that, but remember, we will get that right. Then we'll also spend a bit of time on your research questions. We'll talk about in terms of quantitative research, where your research question generally could be something like, what is the relationship between two variables? In terms of qualitative research, your research question is normally one single overarching question and clarifying questions. Your research for quantitative research, you'll have a research question and you'll have your hypotheses. You'll have your null and your alternate hypothesis. Who remembers what a null and alternate hypothesis is? Oh my gosh, specifically, I'm so sorry. That's fine. You know what? You didn't have me the previous time, hey? You've got me now. Go, Lebohang.
Isn't the null hypothesis the negative one? So it does not agree with
Yeah,
your
says there's no relationship. Yeah.
yes, and then the other one
The
does
alternate
says there is
hypothesis
a relationship.
tells you that there is a relationship. Nice, Lebohang, nice. And I'm glad you remember all of these. Who was your undergrad lecturer? Specifically, was it Paula? Specifically, was it Paula? She's a pain, man. I absolutely hate Paula. I'm kidding, guys. I'm best friends with Paula. Paula is also one of my supervisors. I shouldn't say stuff like this. No, she's fantastic. She's absolutely fantastic. A complete pain in the butt, but she's completely fantastic. Okay. Oh my gosh, sleepless nights. Yeah, no, she slave driver. Guys, and then we'll talk about our methodology. You'll have quantitative and qualitative methodology. We'll talk about your population and we'll talk about your sampling and we'll talk about your data collection and we'll talk about your data analysis. In that description, you'll then go out and physically collect the data. Go Moeti. Moeti, you are not coming through. Your sound isn't coming through. Nah, still no sound, Moeti. You want to type it and I'll look when you type, okay? Just type it in the chat box, Moeti. Then you'll go out and collect data. In terms of your data collection, if you are doing qualitative research, you will interview 8 different research participants. If you are doing quantitative research, you will go and have, I'm going to say The number is 25, but I think we should go a lot beyond 25. You'll have 25 surveys completed. Generally, we do the surveys in Google Forms, but I also know that there's Microsoft Forms for those of you that know it. Moete, type your concern. I'll be able to answer it based on that. Then you'll do your analysis of data. In terms of the analysis for qualitative research, we'll do content or thematic analysis, depending on what your supervisor wants to do. And then obviously some sort of statistical analysis. We expect you to do research and do stats up to and including a correlation analysis. Oh my gosh. Moeti, the chat is at the top. If you look next to people, if we go from if we go right to left, it is the very, very last bit on the up the on the top. I don't know what that is called. And I don't even know how to point it out. Thanks, Kyle. I think it's the ribbon on the top ribbon. Okay, Zama.
Hi,
Okay.
Doc.
Hi, Zama.
I think a lot of people are having the chat isn't available for them to type on the chat. That's what they're saying on the
Okay,
group.
sorry about that, guys. I should check on the group. Guys, join through the WhatsApp. No. Join through the group on the link on ARC. I can't talk today. So join through the link on ARC. I'll wait for people to join. Join through the link on ARC. Go, Elisna. Sorry,
Hi, Doctor.
Abagila, you go first.
Sorry, sir. We tried using the link on ARC, so that also doesn't work.
And it doesn't give you the chat. Damn
No,
it.
it doesn't, sir. Also, the link on the WhatsApp group as well.
Okay, so what we'll do is just unmute yourself and comment. Okay, then we don't need to type. Go, Elisna.
Hi, I just wanted to mention it says in channel meetings, only members of the team have access to the chat. That's what it's saying on my side.
Yeah, and I just realized that because I can't link all of you. I need to ask admin how to do that. Guys, if you can't use the chat, just unmute yourself if for now. Okay. Abongile, go for it, bud. Just
No,
unmute
sir.
yourself and talk.
I don't have a
Yeah.
question. I don't know why. Okay, it doesn't let me unraise my hand. Okay, I just pressed it now. I don't have
Okay.
anything to say, sir.
No problem. No problem, bud. Okay, there are different solutions here, guys. Use Teams from the browser with your Arc link, or use this. Yeah, I'm not sure, guys, how to do this. Okay, let me figure this out tomorrow. Right. So let's look at the research process. So I spoke about how your research problem is, for me, the be all and the end all of the entire research process. If you do not have a research problem that is significant enough, you don't have a reason to do research. So you have to start with the deficiency. One of the things that I've picked up over the flipping 15 years, 18, 19 years of doing supervision is that a lot of people write the research problem as a problem already solved. The key thing about a research problem is that it has to sound like a problem. In South Africa, 15% of all grade 4 pupils cannot read or write a single word. That is a research problem. It is the deficiency, it is the gap, it is the uncertainty that brought us here. in terms of us and our theme around AI and the world beyond 2026, I think our research problem is that very few people know exactly how AI will impact us, how we can account for AI, what will happen. So there's great misunderstanding around the potential for AI. I know I spoke to somebody, and I don't know if she's on the group, who said that AI, in fact, is the problem because there are so many deficiencies associated with it that a lot of people think that going AI is the ideal route, when in reality, the problem is it is not the ideal route because of the deficiencies associated with it. So the key thing is to clarify in your mind what the problem is, what the specific deficiency is, what the issue is. Can somebody give me their research title and we can quickly see if we can work out a problem? Anyone? Anyone give me a problem? Just unmute yourself and tell me what your research is. And if you want to hazard a guess in terms of the problem, then absolutely you can do that as well. Go for it, Lebon.
So I have exploring the perceived impact of AI on the banking industry's growth and performance.
Okay. What is the problem?
I'd say the problem personally is there's it's there's a
See how
gap
difficult it
between
is, Lebon? And
there's
don't
there's
feel
there's a
don't feel silly. It's difficult.
yeah, I'd say there's a gap between not even only the banking industries, just all industries with AI, where AI is getting the job done, but it's also taking away from people.
Okay, can you see how you're wandering away from your title?
Is it?
Your golden thread is disappearing there. Quickly read me your title again.
Exploring the perceived impact of AI on the banking industry's growth and performance.
Okay. Due to the newness of AI, very few people can, in fact, tell us what the ultimate impact on the banking industry will be. The uncertainty associated with AI essentially drives concerns within the industry itself. And that is essentially what we want to address in this research. Now, you can write it a lot better than that. Is that a fair comment on a research problem, Leboha? Do you mind, please? Of course.
Please just repeat your question again. Sorry about that.
So, okay, no, I just said because of the newness of AI, very few people actually know ultimately what the impact is. And
Yes.
because we don't know what this impact may be, there are a number of uncertainties associated with the implementation and the long-term results of AI.
Yes.
That's a problem. Okay. So
Yes.
thank you. Okay, cheers. Kyle, I can do yours. Absolutely. Okay. So I think when we think of placement in sport, is that when we place people in sport, there's certain expectations that are associated within a career in sport. Unfortunately, universities attempt work in learning programs to bridge the gap between the sort of studies and what will happen in the world of work. However, very few people actually know whether the WIL programs has any positive contribution to translating theory into practice. How does that sound, Kyle? There is significant uncertainty. Often we do things in courses and in modules that we don't really look at whether it has any impact in the real world. Okay. Okay, of course I can, Nosipho. So yours is very similar to Lebohang's. I think we know that AI is on its way. However, because of the newness of AI, because of the uncertainties associated with the introduction of AI, we sit with the situation that people are rushing ahead, implementing AI without actually knowing what the ultimate result and the ultimate impact will be, in particular in startups within the hygiene cleaning business industry. Make sense, Nosipho? Go for it, Lebohang.
So my thing is, when it comes to identifying the research problem, as
Yeah.
straightforward as you put it, I just find it so difficult when, as my lecturer, you'll expect me to write like a page full or half a page.
Oh, remember, you are going to write a half a page. What I've just said is the bare bones of it. You need to go and research to support my statement about how there are uncertainties associated with AI. Okay, so you would then go do research to support the notion that there are uncertainties. That's your page
Okay.
or half a
Okay.
page.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, guys, can I also just say, I like the idea, and this is now going a step too far, of when we write the research problem, I like the idea of having three parts to it. Part A would be the ideal. Part B is the deficiency, and part C is what we intend to do in this research. So when we write it with those three parts, you'll comfortably fill up a 3/4 of a, if not a page. Okay. Okay. So again, you can talk about, Uniska, the number of headaches associated with reporting within financial operating systems. AI promises a lot in terms of efficiency and improving a variety of systems. However, what will the true implications be for AI in improving the systems? There is significant uncertainty as to the contribution AI may make. So the problem is, we know that AI is there, but can it really help us? Easy peasy. Okay. So part A is the ideal, what the problem would look like once it's been effectively dealt with. Part B is the deficiency, the problem, the headache. Part C is what we intend to do in this research. In this research, we intend to adopt a quantitative process whereby we contact 50, or whereby we contact a vast number of subject matter experts who could make suggestions around the potential role of AI in financial services. Okay. Right. Who else is there? Go, Elisna.
Okay, so my problem that I suggested was that marketing managers are not accepting or using AI to help them, with workflows, making campaigns easier or quicker, and then just to focus more on other important tasks and not using AI to help them.
And if you take that a step further, Elisna, you would say, because of the lack of adoption in marketing, we are not maximizing the potential benefits of AI. So your initial part is right, and then you can just carry on from there.
Okay, thank
I
you.
hope that makes sense. So the first part of your problem is right, but we know, because we're not adopting it, we don't know whether, the efficiencies, the kind of potential that AI brings is being maximized. Okay. Elizabeth, am I making sense?
Yes, yes. Thanks so much.
Okay. Nosipho?
Hi, Henny. For my problem, since you did kind of explain what's going on, is it okay if I kind of look at general, I don't want to say general problems, but general things within my research question or problem, because I think it is kind of broad, or maybe it's me being an overthinker. I'm not too sure.
You see, for I don't. If you have a specific title, you should have a specific problem. That problem will have a variety of sub-elements. So one problem feeds into another, feeds into another. So I don't know if that answers your question. I don't like the idea of generalities. It's just you'll have multiple layers to the problem.
Oh, okay. So I can add, okay, not
Oh,
really
yeah.
add, but I can um speak on multiple things that are within the
Yes.
topic. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. And remember, guys, part of writing a problem statement is to put information around the problem in supported by academic evidence. Okay. Okay, Elizabeth, let me have a glance at yours. Okay, so again, I mean, I love your title actually. But the reality is that we know that AI threatens a variety of jobs. And with jobs under threat, how do we maintain the human element that is required within the industry while still adopting AI within the broader system? That makes sense, Elizabeth? Okay, I'm going to move on now, guys. But can I just show you? It is bloody difficult to do this. I mean, I sit here and I'm just making stuff up. Hey, you need to tell me when I'm wrong. So, but can I also say I've done this before, guys? So generally what a research problem does, and again, this is introductory stuff here. Hey? So generally what a research problem does, it gives us the gap in the knowledge. It is what we know versus what we should know. That gap is represented through this deficiency. It talks about issues that haven't been resolved in ongoing debates, the potential future of AI. And also remember, it's about it within the context of an organization, within an industry. One of the things you will hear me say a couple of times, and that's why I said, I don't know, asked to Nosipho that you can't have generalities. It is specific, but you must also present it as something researchable. Go for it, Leboha.
I wanted to ask, so you know how when we're speaking about research, there's a thought about it where research actually involves like a process of inquiry. So like every answer leads to more questions. When do we know when to actually like say, okay, this I'll look at it another time. This is what I'm busy with. Is it like a point of, do we call it a point of saturation or, but that's one thing I've picked up when I was doing my research in my third year. While I'm getting answers, there's still something that's coming up, but I don't know, do I include it, do I exclude it, because it's still relating to what I'm doing.
So one of the things we do in qualitative research is we set objectives. So generally, your sub questions under your overarching question will become your objectives. So those objectives guide us where we're going to go. Insofar as new areas that you are finding out, that can be suggested in future research. So, you are going to encounter additional things, but you will have a section right at the end of writing up your report where you'll suggest that future research should include. But you'll have clear objectives to achieve, and your hypotheses will guide the quantitative people. and in terms of the quantitative people, you have surveys that essentially will be focused around your research area. Does that make sense, Lebohang?
Yes, yes.
Otherwise, you'll never finish. This course is a year. So, I want pictures from you guys next year graduating, and obviously sending me castle lights as a thank you. You can email the castle lights to me. Okay. So the a strong research problem, there are a variety of things there. Okay. The key thing is that it's the deficiency. Guys, and you're going to hear me say this again, be careful not to write it as a problem that has already been solved. I've seen this a number of times where people write a problem statement, and then you get the people who really irritate me when they write the problem statement and then they suggest the solutions. If you have the solutions, why are you doing the research? These are things that we've picked up over time. And guys, your supervisor will deal with you. My students, and again, I don't know who I'm supervising. I just seen titles. You'll hear me harp on about these things as well. Right. And then other bits of a strong research problem. It gives us our variables. So for you, those of you that are doing quantitative research, you'll have your independent and your dependent variable. For people doing qualitative research, you will be talking about a particular phenomenon. It also starts pointing to the kind of theories that people are likely to encounter. For me, it starts suggesting the importance. Now, what we do at Emirates is we have something where we write, in addition to the research problem, we'll expect you to do a rationale. The rationale essentially answers the question, what would happen if we left this problem alone? If you tell me not very much, you don't have a strong problem. But if you tell me, oh my gosh, the world could end, that is the justification that we're looking at. Yeah, so we'll talk about the detail around that, guys. I'm not going to worry about the template right now. From there, we'll do a literature review. We'll spend quite a bit of time with the librarian. Now, I know that some of you have already met the librarian. I don't know if anyone's attended any of the library sessions. Who is the honors librarian, guys? I just want to know who you guys met. Who has been to a library session?
I think
Okay,
it was
I work.
Mr.
Go
Batsana,
for it. Hmm?
Mr. Batsana, something like that.
No, that's not it. It's not Michelle. Did Michelle do your library orientation? Okay, I know Michelle. Michelle is very good.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, she actually led the thing, and
yeah,
then Batsana came.
Michelle is very good. Okay, so guys, just to say, I will put you in contact with the librarian. Those of you that need help and cannot find articles, the librarian will help you. But we've got other bits and pieces how to find articles. There are things called Research Rabbit and the AI is associated with that. There are also a variety of databases that will allow you to have that you have access to. And then in terms of your literature review, yeah, it tells us what is already out there. And I like the idea that it's a scholarly review. So we look at existing scholarship, what other researchers has found. And then also it starts indicating some of the debates that are out there. So you'll find when you write a proper literature review is that you'll often have to include arguments and counter arguments, contradictions, and build out of that an argument under a particular theme. And labeling those themes are very important. Labeling the theme is essential. Guys, please do me a favor and use AI ethically, and I'll talk about that, what that means in later classes. And then also just be careful of not to duplicate. We require a lot of attention here, and it starts adding and clarifying what the deficiency is. And then we talk about our theoretical framework. Yeah, if you're doing quantitative research, it is about relationships, but it provides us with our analytical lens. It starts looking at where this hypothesis sits or where the phenomenon sits in terms of qualitative research. I think we have a very specific way of writing a theoretical framework. I like the idea of always starting with the theory in its original format. So for me, part A, and you will never write part A, part B, part C, but part A would be the theory in its original format, and you'll refer to the people who originally postulated or suggested the theory. From there, you will work on updated views on that theory, and from there, you would tell us why this theory is relevant. So I like the idea of part A, part B, part C. And again, you won't write part A, part B, part C. Part A, the theory in its original format. Part B, updated views on the theory. And part C, why this theory is relevant to your research. So, and you're going to find, and you're going to be absolutely start hating me for this, but I have procedures about everything, guys. My brain is like a carousel and horses jumping around, and the reality is that I have to have frameworks, otherwise my messy brain doesn't get me anywhere. And then our research questions. Yeah. So in terms of your research questions, qualitative research questions, and then you will have a hypothesis if you're doing quantitative research, a single research question, and then your hypotheses. And then for qualitative research, you'll have an overarching, the broadest single question you can ask about the specific research that is being looked at, and you'll have clarifying questions. And then we'll spend a bit of time on the different methodologies. Guys, just to say, I'm not going to allow mixed methods. We'll have quantitative and qualitative. At an honors level, mixed methods, it's too much, although I put it in there because one of the frameworks that a lot of people talk about is critical realism. We are not going to allow you to use critical realism. There is just too much out there. In terms of qualitative research, I think it is to look at, first of all, doing the sampling, and we'll talk about probability and non-probability sampling. We'll look at data collection instruments. If you're doing quantitative research, as I had said earlier, you will use surveys, questionnaires. If you're doing qualitative research, you will have interviews and you'll have specific interview questions. We'll also talk about validity and reliability if you're doing quantitative research. If you're doing qualitative research, you'll obviously talk about trustworthiness. And then obviously it is the link between the problem and the questions and the methods and the analysis. And you'll remember I said that we specifically look at the golden thread, and my reminder of the golden thread will be consistent. Guys, I'm going to stop there. Don't want to rush now because I feel like I'm rushing.